Welcome back to another episode of the Tech Talks Daily podcast, where every day we try and demystify complex technologies and present them in a language that everyone can understand. And I'm your host, Neil C. Hughes, and today I've got a great guest lined up who is deeply entrenched in the evolving landscape of SaaS and cybersecurity. Two areas that touch virtually every single modern organisation and consumer today. So I've invited TJ, the co-founder and CEO of a company called AvePoint, to join us on the show. And with a clientele that includes the US Department of State, businesses such as Ikea to Bloomberg, I think it's fair to say that they are the backbone that powers the hybrid workforce, while also optimizing SaaS operations and securing collaborations. And they're also known as a SaaS trailblazer with a focus on the hybrid workplace and data management and solutions that have resonated with more than 17,000 customers worldwide, many of those household names. So today we're going to dive deep into the multiple facets of modern technology challenges and opportunities. And we're also going to discuss the growth trajectory of SaaS applications, the increasingly complex problem of data sprawl, and the ever-present and growing risks associated with artificial intelligence. And in a world where ransomware and cyber threats are becoming the headlines we dread to read, TJ's also going to offer insights on how individuals and organisations can put the odds back in their favour. And if that's not impressive enough, how about we do all that inside 30 minutes, with all killer and no filler? And for that to happen, I need to stop talking. So buckle up and hold on tight, because no matter where you're listening in the world, I'm going to be beaming your ears all the way to Tokyo, where TJ is waiting to join us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show, TJ. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Well, thank you, Neil, for having me on your show. Being a big fan, heard previous episodes, so I really love what you do. Yeah, who am I? Well, I'm the co-founder and CEO of AvePoint, which is the largest SaaS data management and governance vendor in the Microsoft cloud ecosystem. And my background is electrical computer engineering from Cornell, undergraduate master's, and then work at Lucent Bell Labs and then Wall Street, writing trading systems for Deutsche Bank and Lehman Brothers. And then went back to grad school after 9/11. 9/11 was a very interesting experience for me because my office is 40th floor of World Trade Center 1. I went back to grad school and got a doctorate in data mining and machine learning. And this is before McKinsey had the big term of big data. So I did that by 2008. But I started AvePoint with my co-founder and good friend Kai back in 2001. And now 22 years into the trajectory of running the business, and we have been a public NASDAQ listed company 2 years ago. So yeah, so that's a whirlwind background on me and very, very briefly on the company.
Fantastic. What an amazing story. And a huge thank you for the kind words. It's a huge pleasure to have you on the podcast today, especially as a listener as well. And one of the reasons I was excited to get you on the podcast was I think there's so much talk at the moment about SaaS application growth management. And of course, AvePoint have been at the forefront of managing SaaS application growth. I think when I was doing a bit of research on you, helping more than 17,000 customers worldwide. So just to set the scene for our conversation today, can you shed a little light on some of the critical challenges companies might be facing in scaling SaaS applications, and also a little more about how AvePoint's solutions are uniquely positioned to tackle some of these challenges?
Yeah, that's a great question, Neil. I remember when we first got into SaaS, which is 2010, 2011 days, Microsoft was still with Steve Ballmer as CEO, and folks were saying, hey, Microsoft cloud is not real. Microsoft, stock hasn't moved for 10 years. It's not cool anymore, etc. But we knew by talking to customers and in the field that this is the future, and we actually made the right bet. Now, 12 years later, we're the largest SaaS provider when it comes to data management and governance in the Microsoft cloud. Now, SaaS, to do it properly, it's not just about putting software into a virtual machine and hosting on AWS and call it SaaS. It's the entire way of developing continuous integration, continuous deployment. So your customers get the latest, but at the same time, you're managing the upkeep, cloud operations, cloud security for your customers. And that actually, especially for large enterprise customers, takes time to build up that sophistication and maturity, especially you're talking about data sovereign aware SaaS instances, government data center aware SaaS instances where you need to go through a very, very rigorous multi-year process to get certified from a security perspective. So the toughest part we see for SaaS scaling is to build that practice and muscle, if you will, in terms of actually truly running a software as a services offering that can scale, that can handle the most demanding of workloads, as well as at the same time be aware of local data sovereign and local regulation aware issues like even GDPR, data privacy. So that all of that is actually takes time to build. At the same time, it's a completely different business mindset. You have to get ready of getting your revenue in a rental model. You have to get ready of customer leveraging your software as a OpEx kind of conversation where if they no longer find your software services useful, you'll shut down the subscription. So that forces you as a provider to continuously step up and elevate your offerings. So you're always a value add to your customer. So cash flow management, continuous cycle of innovation, and at the same time, be able to scale to the demand of your customer no matter where they are. So these are some of the key metrics, I would say, to really scale a SaaS business.
And of course, with the rise of hybrid working environments, data sprawl has also become a significant concern in recent years. So can you explain the concept of data sprawl and just elaborate on AvePoint strategies for managing data in the hybrid workplace and this world where we all kind of expect to work on any device, any location, any network at any time, and also how it aligns with data privacy regulations? Because again, huge talking points right now, aren't they?
Yeah, data sprawl it's a massive issue because now with everyone using cloud, especially you also have shadow IT, so business users buying various solutions. Not just easy to subscribe and use. How your enterprise users, your business users share data internally and externally, and what kind of system they use. Often business users don't think about essentially the integrity of business backend systems and data and the data flow, and thereby creating a lot of data sprawl. Also, when you talk about hybrid, there's also many enterprises still have quite a number of on-prem systems that people use. So there's a concept of hybrid of on-prem and cloud. There's a hybrid concept of multi-cloud. You could be using Salesforce for CRM, but you could obviously be using Zoom for video call. But then at the same time, use Microsoft Teams for chat, collaboration, Microsoft Office. But then you could be doing chatting in Slack on Salesforce. So that leads to data sprawl as well. Now, of course, we have to talk about generative AI. Satya Nadella famously said that by 2025, 10% of all data generated will be done by generative AI. Now, already without generative AI generating data, we are already generating a ton of data to the speed of every 2 years. We're doubling the amount of total data generated by mankind since the beginning of time of our species. So this acceleration on data generation is creating even more data sprawl. So yeah, it's a real issue faced by enterprise today.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because, of course, the integration of AI into business operations comes with its own set of risks too. So can you outline some of the potential pitfalls that organizations should be aware of, and also, again, how your platform is designed to help mitigate some of these risks?
Yeah, I think overall it's suffice to say that, when I got my machine learning and data mining PhD back in 2008, we don't have transformers then, right? AI and machine learning as a practice has been around for many decades. It's really the availability of compute in the form of cloud, commercial cloud, hyperscalers, and availability of massive amount of data that then lead to the new innovation in transformers and now into generative AI. There isn't a single day that goes by without me talking to business leaders and community leaders about Gen AI. It's transforming many, many things that we do, especially education. Now, there's also a lot of hype over reality. Machine is not taking over our job yet. The best way to describe ChatGPT is a very intelligent summer intern. But at the end of the day, it's still summer intern. And the intern does not know the domain specific issues of your business, nor does it have, domain expertise to make proper decision making on your business. Now, I see that a lot of businesses are racing towards building their own proprietary model to mitigate that. So proprietary model leveraging your decades worth of data, business data, documents, emails, contracts, to then be able to then layer that proprietary data on top of the foundational models to actually make use of AI at minimal to provide better customer service, at least automation of tier one customer service or support, or even marketing. But AI at that perspective is really a very good drafting tool, but you also have to be very careful in how you deploy AI. So for developers, for example, using GitHub Copilot to use AI to generate automatically algorithms and routines, we find that senior developers can better leverage AI because they can inspect the code auto-generated by AI to see whether it makes sense or not. The same phenomenon happens on the business context of hallucination, right? So you would never want to be a lawyer and go to case and argue everything that's generated by AI, because the AI could be making up cases in the past as precedent. Same thing actually in coding. So, but it does take an experienced person, expert, to see what's good and what's not good. So if you actually just pair AI with a novice coder, that's actually a dangerous thing, because a novice coder in cloud, for example, doesn't even know what the left and right hand, do. They're still learning ropes. If they use AI to generate routines, they make critical errors that, this doesn't even make sense, that they would deploy up. So proper use of AI, proper information management to make sure that your data aggregation and your data is clean before you feed into the proprietary model is very, very important. Back when I was in my researcher days, any sort of machine learning AI project, 80% of the heavy lift is actually in terms of data cleanliness, data cleansing. Same thing, same problem still exists today. You want to make sure all your decades worth of legacy business data are properly aggregated and managed. There's a lot of junk out there, right? There is statistics about the amount of data that folks actually put out to cloud, which costs them money, real money in storage. Roughly 60 to sometimes 80% of that data is called dark data. And a lot of that is redundant, out of date, trivial data. So you don't want that, because otherwise, if you feed that to your model, it's a trash in, trash out problem. You could actually make the problem worse.
And given the growing threat of ransomware and cyber attacks, again, I think this is something we've got to explore too. So are there any measures that AvePoint can recommend for individuals and organizations, business leaders, etc., that could be listening to our conversation today to help them prevent costly data loss and breaches, etc., and maybe share some real-world examples of where these solutions have proven successful and helped your customers in the past?
Yeah, just like how we deal with better, effective use of AI, it starts with proper information management and governance. Same thing goes with cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a very big area. The attack vectors varies all the time. You may have read in the news recently that even Microsoft, despite spending $1 billion a year on cybersecurity, in their cloud have lost U.S. government employee emails, right? That was leaked out. So the cybersecurity attack surface is ever expanding. The attackers, a lot of these state-sponsored, are getting, they're intelligent human beings. So they're varying their attack vectors all the time. There's a saying in our industry, either you're hacked or you don't know you're being hacked. So much so that it's really the analysis that I share most often that we use in our world is everybody's house have cockroaches. You can't avoid having cockroaches in your house. The important thing is to have a multi-layered, nuanced approach so that you have different aspects of protecting your most valuable data, right? So keeping the hackers at bay, so they don't get to touch your core, business assets. And that's where the game is at. So AvePoint's focus is really the sanctum of data protection. You think about, the barbarians storming the castle. You have the, moat, you have the city wall, and once you get to inner sanctum, you're doing hand-to-hand combat. That's really the best way to think about cybersecurity today, is really what's happening day in, day out, right? All it takes is one person click on a phishing email that's very, very cleverly drafted, based on, the attacker's research on that person's social media profile, right, to get into the system. And then they sit and watch, right? So it's really a continuous process of education, technology, and then the proper culture that people need to be very aware of that, things are not what it seems. And you also have to have the right hygiene and training to be able to actually, know what kind of data you're actively and sharing. So this is the course practice that we're in to provide that data access rights management, of course, continuous monitoring of data access, including ransomware attack. Ransomware attack has a specific signature, so we can actually restore customer prior to state before the attack, because we're the best in the industry when it comes to data backup and restore, very granular level across cloud, multi-cloud, and hybrid. So those are all go hand in hand. It's a comprehensive strategy to data protection. There's no one single silver bullet.
Yeah, and one of the reasons for that, I think, is because security in a digital workplace involves combating various cyber threats. As you said, there's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all or that silver bullet. So with that in mind, can you tell me a little bit more about the multifaceted threats that organizations might be facing and how your solutions provide a more comprehensive approach to ensuring security in a hybrid environment? Because it can be incredibly overwhelming for business leaders with there being so many different attack surfaces, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So we take a platform approach, a holistic approach around information lifecycle and access management. So basically, we start with the birth of information. So a simple collaboration, whether it's email or Teams chat or a Slack chat, and files dumped, whether it's a external is repository in a box or Dropbox or onto OneDrive or onto your corporate file share. From there, we actually classify and tag, and then start to apply lifecycle management to that data. So, for example, your chat channel, when should this conversation, if it's a project, when does it end? When should external access or specified access end? And also, when the person leaves the organization, how do you then chase up to say, hey, where's the delegation lies, whether with that person's manager or department, to make sure we have proper retirement and getting rid of actually legacy data, content, and repositories and workspaces. So that's a very important, that hygiene, lifecycle hygiene is what we focus a lot. We don't do everything for security. For example, we don't do endpoint protection, device level protection. We focus on the data estate, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. And we focus on who has access to what, when, and when should that data retire. Of course, we also do backups so we can restore in terms of data loss or ransomware attack. And also, at the end of the day, we measure employee engagement with cloud. So sentiment analysis and use patterns, especially in the hybrid, in the sense of work hybrid setup. If you're working from home, are you talking enough to your coworkers or your managers across team? Oftentimes we find employees that are siloed, especially new employees that, only know their coworkers through a Zoom call. They become quite siloed very, very quickly. Are they engaged with the organization? Are they accessing data enough? Are they interacting enough? And these type things are also the other softer side of a proper, organization, modern workplace, what we call collaboration, kind of security and governance. And these things are what HR people care about in now a very highly distributed workforce. So all these things actually goes into ultimately about how information being accessed, who's accessing them, and whether they're being effective.
And I was also reading that you have a vast network of over 3,500 managed service providers, resellers, and integrators. So again, how does AvePoint's global channel partner program contribute to the success and reach of your solutions? And what kind of opportunities or maybe even challenges have you encountered building this extensive network? Because this collaboration really shines out when I was doing a bit of research on you before you came on this podcast.
Yeah, so historically, AvePoint has been an enterprise-focused organization. Companies that are in the regulated industry, over 7,000 employees, or government agencies that really care about data governance and security. But since we have gone to cloud and being a SaaS provider, we actually see medium to small businesses also have the same need coming to us. So we realize that as we're now a public company, the way we can scale, like you talk about SaaS scaling, is to go through channels. It goes through partners. So we actually focus a lot of energy on managed service providers because they are essentially the IT professionals for small to medium businesses because not everyone has the technology sophistication to manage all their data estate, on-prem, hybrid, and cloud. So there we actually treat the partners in those managed service providers as our end customer. At the same time, we're also engaging in large and small system integrators, LARs and distribution, where we actually have our products integrated across 100 digital marketplaces. So customers and partners can buy on the monthly recurring fashion. So to lower the threshold of utilizing our software, they can just subscribe and go. And a lot of partners can even buy our software in a pool license format. So in turn, they can have a single pane of glass view of multiple small businesses, hundreds of Microsoft cloud tenants, so they can manage and help them in one go. So these are the different type of formats that we introduce to accelerate the reach of our services across the segment of enterprise to medium small businesses, and be able to also reach markets that we don't have physical presence. We're literally in 18 countries. We're servicing some of the most sophisticated B2B software market, but they're emerging markets like LATAM, right? Like Middle East, like Africa, that are very interesting that are also moving very aggressively into cloud, that are interested in our software, that we're better served through the partner network. So the way we engage and scale our whole business is through channel and partners.
And I was also reading your collaboration also goes with government bodies like the US Department of State and also big businesses such as Ikea and Bloomberg. So can you share some of the unique requirements and complexities of working with such a diverse range of clients and how your approach might differ and cater to those in different sectors?
Yes, ultimately we're a SaaS product vendor. We actually provide instance that services the needs of multiple clients. The way we can differentiate is make our software highly configurable so that they could be used by clients to manage. It includes workflows, for example, now with AI, with automated workflows to manage their specific industry and their specific business needs, whether it's also across borders or within geo. The enterprise customers are very demanding. We have, for example, Goldman Sachs Citi as customer, in addition to State Department, White House, and they're very different needs. But at the end of the day, they're regulated customers that our software help to govern their data, to control access both in the cloud as well as on-prem and across hybrid work environments. Because we've been doing this business and fundamentally this problem of information management for 20 plus years, we understand the base layer needs of enterprises, big and small. The way we can differentiate is layer in the front end rules. And we also actually export our APIs. So we actually have DevOps partners that can build their own unique IP based on calling our APIs and our base level services. So they can then generate 1,000 different variants of offerings on top of our offering. So that, I think, is really where the next level of explosive growth going to come from for our business.
Incredibly cool. And I love how AvePoint almost serves as a backbone powering the hybrid workforce and data management. But I'd love to look into the future now, look into a virtual crystal ball. Are there any trends that you might foresee in hybrid work, and how you and your team are going to be preparing to evolve to these trends as we prepare for 2024? And how do you plan to continue serving businesses money on IT spend while enabling their end users? Is there anything you can share about how you see that future in 2024 looking?
Yeah, that's a great question, Neil. In technology, we see trends, right? We see centralized computing and the distributed computing. Now with cloud is now more centralized computing. We actually see, essentially everyone going to work, and now everyone, remote work, and now hybrid. So there's some certain themes that's reoccurring. So a lot of the problems we solve for on-prem, they manifest themselves as different problems in cloud only because it requires different technology, different methodology, different type of containerization, delivery, operations, and security needs. But fundamentally, the problem set are constant, and you see these major swinging topics. Of course, now everyone is really eager to make sure that they can all have proprietary models to leverage Gen AI to improve their business on the bottom line, at the same time on top line to generate innovation, to provide better customer service, provide better productization, provide even better customer feedback in real time. So at the end of the day, the fundamental information management needs are there. So it's really looking into crystal ball, you say, is for us to continue stay ahead of the technology curve and solve these problems, these various different variation and reincarnation of the same problem sets with new technology. And that's the crux of our business. Software is an incredibly rich surface area. Software is actually the most malleable product mankind has ever devised. The benefit is that marginal cost of software, distribute new copy, etc., it's nearly zero, especially with now nearly very high bandwidth and very low cost storage. But at the same time, though, you have to continue to innovate because things change very fast. In my world, a year is an eternity.
Love that. And finally, I'm going to have a little bit of fun with you now. Here on Tech Talks Daily, we have a Spotify playlist and an Amazon wish list. I always ask my guests to leave everyone listening with a final gift before they leave us. So all I'm going to ask TJ is, what would you like to leave us with today and why?
Yeah, so I love a book I read on Bill Gates' reading list. It's called Ministry for the Future. Mm-hmm. So it talked about potential possible outcome of global warming and climate change. And if we don't do anything about it, it will cause catastrophic events. But the beauty of the book is that it does end with a very, very hopeful note of a catastrophic event, which we just went through, by the way, with COVID. Yeah. Human beings were able to completely change our behavior to a degree that we can actually move things for the better. And I'm very, very hopeful from reading that book. And incidentally, I actually was at a very small private breakfast with Jonah Goldman, so Gates Foundation key man to lead the Breakthrough Energy, so their climate change fund to fight climate change. He also talked about now the tech, we have so much good new tech, so carbon sequestration, renewable energy, much safer nuclear power, etc. What's missing is the willingness, the willpower to change policy of governments, right? To actually really enact behavior changing policy to make a difference. So I think that's coming when things now when we do have catastrophic event, or hopefully not, it's so extreme, it will change our behavior, and that's where I'm hopeful. I think fundamentally we are very innovative as a species. We can use technology to save ourselves, and I think that book actually gave me a lot of hope.
Fantastic choice. Absolutely love chatting with you today. And for anyone listening that would like to find out more information about anything that we talked about and all the work that you're doing at AvePoint, where would you like to point everyone listening to if they've got any questions that they want to ask your team, etc.?
Yeah, so we have a great chatbot on our website, AvePoint.com. We also have maintained a very active blog. It's AvePoint's blog community where I regularly contribute content to. Recently, I wrote quite a lengthy piece about AI and proper information management. So have AI-ready information management to enable your organization to innovate. So yeah, that's a great place to start. Of course, we're always reachable across social channels. Feel free to reach out to us. And we are in 18 countries. We have a 24/7, support and operations. So yeah, we're more than happy to always talk to our customers or partners about, their interests.
Well, we covered so much today, from how to manage SaaS application growth and scale to data sprawl, how to manage data in hybrid workplaces, the risks associated with AI, and also the cybersecurity issues and how to prevent costly data loss and breach. Pure gold from you today. Absolutely love talking with you. And you even had a chance to leave us with a cracking book too. So hopefully we can stay in touch, TJ, and do this again next year. But more than anything, thank you for sharing your story today.
Thank you so much, Neil. Thank you for having me on your show.
So a huge thank you to TJ for joining us on the podcast, shedding light on pressing issues like SaaS scalability, data management in the hybrid workplace, and the cybersecurity landscape that organisations need to navigate with the utmost caution. And we also touched upon the challenges and rewards of building a vast network of more than 3,500 managed service providers, and also how to stay ahead of the curve in the face of constantly evolving technology and security paradigms. And I think it's clear that the digital future is fraught with both peril and promise in equal measure. And while technology will bring unprecedented opportunities for efficiency and innovation, it does also raise new challenges that organisations have got to be prepared to confront. And by that, I mean everything from managing burgeoning data assets to defending against increasingly sophisticated cyber threats. And the imperative for robust, multifaceted strategies has never been greater. And I hope that in some small way we were able to equip you with some of those insights that you need to make well-informed decisions in your personal and professional lives. And I'd love to hear more from you. As always, I always ask everyone listening, techblogwriter@outlook.com if you want to email me. At my website, if you'd like to work with me, techblogwriter.co.uk, you'll find links to 2,500 interviews and also how I can help you write your thought leadership blogs, your business blogs, or even launch your own podcast, like this one that you're listening to right now. You don't need to do all the heavy lifting. You can just record an interview and let me take care of everything else. If that's something you or your business is interested in, check that out. But other than that, let me know what you thought of today's episode. Come and join me again tomorrow. We'll tackle a completely different topic. But more than anything, thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.